So thank you very much for inviting me. I'm sorry I can't be there. Um, I, I I don't know if you kind of know my history. I've been very much involved in different forms of traditional medicines, kind of helping to evaluate their uses, but also to look at the potential for incorporating them into kind of, let's say, Western medicines, but also evaluating the importance of these different forms of medicine in their own right. So what we have been doing as part of the work at Royal Botanic Gardens Kew is to sometimes assist with the quality control of material that is coming in, because in the past, unfortunately, there have been some issues, to make sure that what is coming into the UK, it is, the right material, but also very importantly, it has been processed in the correct way. Because this has often been a bit of a challenge, is that the material is not always of good quality, which is not always the case by any means. But unfortunately, sometimes there have been issues, especially contamination with adulterants or with heavy metals and things like that. And one of the challenges that is often faced with some of the suppliers, if they're not Indian manufacturers, is, do they know that they're dealing with good quality material? Especially if they're getting it through the internet, and, which is often a form of exchange now, where you do have problems sometimes with quality. So at Kew, we're very keen to be able to assist in any way we can with making sure that the material that is being proposed for use it is of the right quality. Now, we've done a lot of work on this with traditional Chinese medicines, where we had a collaboration with the Materia Medica within China to be able to get specimens from the field of their 564 plants that are in their pharmacopoeia, therefore their main plants that they use for medical use. So we've gone around and collected that material. A colleague of mine, Chris Leon, has gone in collaboration, collected the material, but most importantly, has had some of that material processed in the traditional ways that have been used that definitely do influence the efficacy of the material. It could be that the processing detoxifies, or the processing enhances some of the biologically active molecules. The other thing that we know that's very important is the fact that it's very rare for one plant to be used, and it's often in combinations that they're used, with knowledge about the relative proportions of those materials. Now, over the years, we've been trying to do the same with the plants that are used in the different medical systems within, say, other parts of Asia, especially with India, because traditionally Kew's had a very strong link with India, and we would be very keen to be able to support those types of activity, and then partly working with the practitioners so that they can really highlight the plants that they are using, and they need. So that knowledge can be exchanged with the British Pharmacopoeia Committee, because by users, indicating, especially traders, indicating those plants, then those plants that, if they haven't already got monographs that, describe them and provide some tests to enable, approved tests that enable them to be used, because you've got something that it could be used to check quality. We're keen to be able to support that type of activity. But the thing that is often been an issue here is it's not always the will to do something. It's sometimes to have the money and a defined project that would enable this to happen. I don't think it's impossible by any means, but it's to get a group of people together that can show the value of doing this, but also can attract some funding to enable this to happen. And any support that I can give, I'm sure Q, other parts of Q would be able to assist. So those kind of headlines from what I'd like to exchange. I'm very willing to answer questions.